Going to
Real news.
begin with a deadly attack on U.S. troops in the Middle East, and the U.S. is vowing to hit back. A drone attack struck an American military outpost in Jordan near the border with Syria yesterday. 3 American soldiers were killed. Nearly 3 dozen others were injured. President Biden says an Iran...
Isn't Jordan where the Navy goes for break? Not just the Navy, like every like Marines. Jordan is landlocked? No, chat. Like they fly. What do you mean? Why are people acting like you have to go with the ship, dog? What are you talking about? I'm saying on break, like when they're... I thought Jordan is like where people went like active duty service members go to Jordan when they're on break. Is what I thought. Maybe I'm wrong. You're thinking Singapore? I mean, I guess they go everywhere. I think they break at Bahrain or Abu Dhabi. All right. Yeah, for
militia is to blame here. And he said, quote, "We shall respond." Ed O'Keefe is at the White House with the latest. Ed, good morning.
Gail, good morning. The attack comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iranian-backed proxy militias are on the rise, and it runs the risk of causing Israel's war with Hamas to erupt into a broader regional conflict. U.S. officials say the troops at that outpost in Jordan had little warning of the incoming drone. The attack came before sunrise early Sunday at an American base in northeast Jordan. CBS News has learned those injured and killed were in sleeping quarters when the armed drone struck. The outpost, known as Tower 22, supports U.S. Special Forces operating inside Syria, where they're under constant threat of attack. President Biden, campaigning in South Carolina on Sunday, blamed Iranian-backed militias and vowed to retaliate.
We lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases, and we shall respond.
Samantha Vinograd is a former counterterrorism official in the Biden administration.
It is critical that the administration respond quickly and responsibly, but that means thinking about how their actions will be interpreted and carefully reviewing targets so that Iran doesn't overreact and seek to harm more Americans.
American forces have been operating in Syria and Jordan as part of an ongoing mission to root out ISIS. Thousands of troops have been stationed across Iraq ever since the end of the war there. Since the Hamas invasion of Israel in October, U.S. military sites in Iraq and Syria have been attacked more than 160 times. Sunday's deadly attack sparked bipartisan condemnation and swift Republican calls to directly attack Iran now.
Rushing.
Bro, Trump literally needs to do nothing. He's just doing the kick back and enjoy the show strategy. It's literally kick back and enjoy the show. Let Brandon sort it out. Straight up. This is devastating. You talk about Ilhan Omar already? No. What? Sick of these fucking war hawks? Well, guess what? It's going to get worse and worse. As I was saying, I feel like it is legitimately the dumbest thing you could do to put your entire lineage and like the re-election chances you have directly in the pooper in a blender and just blending that shit at the behest of a dude who very openly has mentioned, Netanyahu, who's very openly mentioned that he hates you and does not want you to get reelected and wants Trump to get reelected. It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense that Brandon is expanding the conflict, making it worse, and every step of the way, the media is literally going, well, they're trying to retaliate in a way that doesn't escalate. And it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Brandon is our Chamberlain? What do you mean? Bro, pull out. Pull back. Pull out. Pull back. This is ridiculous. Do diplomacy. Pressure Israel to stop doing genocide. It is both the moral position and the pragmatic one. Do you want to win the election or not? It makes no sense.
To action in a moment like this would be extremely dangerous.
The Pentagon has yet to identify the dead or their military units pending family notifications. Injuries could increase in the coming hours or days. And this is the largest loss of life for the U.S. military to enemy action since the fall of Afghanistan.
It's so funny because it's like, bro, they keep escalating and then there is retaliation. Every single time. They keep escalating and there's retaliation. They keep escalating and there's retaliation. And then they just keep doing it over and over again. These guys do not fucking care. Fighting against America solidifies their position, whether it be the Houthis, Ansar Allah, or whether it be Iran. Fighting against America makes them look good. They have the money. They have the willingness. They don't have anything else to lose in this circumstance. They stand to gain. They stand to benefit. So constantly trying to fix the situation by blowing them up is so idiotic. I don't know what to say. There is no such thing as de-escalatory bombing. The military-industrial complex is getting fed. Yeah, except not really. I mean, it is, and the stocks are doing well. I mean, I guess you have to just make more bullets and make more bombs. But like we're like tapping out. There's a calculation that one must make here. There is somewhat of a balance to endless military conquest. Too much chaos and too much war will lead to a situation of instability that actually is not good for profit. We want to max out profit. Ukraine is good for profit. Very little downsides. Okay? Very little impact in a negative way to the United States of America, with the exception of like OPEC Plus, I guess. Israel, on the other hand, is profitable in the short term, not profitable if the situation continues and escalates. Does that make sense? Are you coping right now? What do you mean? With what? Like, America is losing its soft power. It's just stupid. It makes no sense. I don't even think it's that profitable. With the Houthis and the attacks will likely stop if a Gaza ceasefire is achieved. With Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria, attacks likely won't stop until the U.S. fully leaves the group. Just don't cite the Gaza war, but also U.S. presence in the area. Iran wasn't to solidify its land bridge. This report sums it up well.
Well, in the
Thank you,
last few
Elon News.
moments, Christian, John Kirby, the White House National Security Council spokesman, has been speaking in the White House. He didn't really give any clues as to what Joe Biden was thinking and what he might do next, other than to say that he will act, he said, in his own schedule and in our own time. But there is no doubt that the events of the weekend pose a very significant immediate challenge for Joe Biden. Does he respond to the killing of these 3 US servicemen by going after the Iranian proxy groups directly themselves to try and contain it to them, as we've seen the US do in the past? Or does he now decide that enough is enough and now it is time to attack the source of these attacks, i.e. Iran itself? Risk, therefore, Tehran retaliating and this whole thing spiraling, igniting into a far more dangerous conflict in the Middle East.
Bro, attack the source of war with Iran is, oh God.
That's the calculation that Joe Biden is trying to weigh up now as he's huddled together today on 2 separate occasions with his national security team. One other bit of information that's come out today as to how this attack happened in the first place, why that...
Elon is right, by the way. We do have a way, and I myself also portrayed in a certain way, like the proxies taking pot shots in Iran, and the Iranian proxies taking pot shots at like American troops stationed in Syria and Iraq has been permanent. That has not really stopped. So that predated the Israeli ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza. So that part was already happening. But we do have the capacity of like basically looking at this entire thing and saying like all of this is happening at the same time. And the reason why I cover it from that framework is because it is all still connected. There might be different interests for the proxy groups or for Iranian presence in the area. But overall, I think that the thread that ties everything together still is very much America's actions and America's reactions and the way that America is trying to manage the situation. 7.8, 8.25. 8.25, 7.8, 8 and 8, 16. Okay. As a pound of chicken, baby. Sorry.
Drone was not intercepted by the US base, and US officials have said it's because at exactly the same time the militant drone was coming in, a US drone was returning to the base at the same time, and therefore the militant drone, they say, was not seen. However it happened, it did. 3 US servicemen are now dead, and the Middle East is bracing for the US response.
We lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases.
Yes.
And asking for a moment's silence for all 3 of those falls.
The killing of American soldiers in the Middle East is the moment Joe Biden had been dreading. But the president is unequivocal about the next step.
Do you not think overthrowing the regime in Iran will be good? Most of the citizens in Iran want that. It depends on what you over... No, dude, if you want to overthrow the regime in Iran, let the fucking Iranians do it. We don't get to have a say in this process because our interference in Iran is what caused the current regime in Iran to begin with. When will people understand? Like, we should not have a say in these affairs, okay? Holy moly, dude. Says who? You? Yeah, I just don't understand, like, the mentality of the average American being like, I don't understand. Why don't we just, like, fucking overthrow the regime in Iran? You think America's not trying? What do you think is going on? What do you think the MEK is? It's so crazy.
And we shall respond.
The question for Biden now is how he responds and whether that retaliation brings about an escalation in the region with Iran that he's been so desperate to avoid. Since the Hamas attack on October the 7th, the conflict has steadily escalated across the region. Israel has exchanged strikes with the Iran-backed militia Hezbollah across the Lebanese border, and Houthi rebels in Yemen, also allied with Iran, have targeted commercial and military ships in the Red Sea, and in response the US and UK have hit Houthi military targets there. While other Iran-backed groups have launched over 150 attacks on US bases in Iraq and Syria. But yesterday's strike on US-based Tower 22 in Jordan marks the first time US personnel have been directly killed in the escalating conflict. The US has thousands of troops stationed in the Middle East, it claims, as a deterrent, mostly against the resurgence of the Islamic State. And the White House insisted today it wasn't looking to up the ante with Iran.
We don't seek a war with Iran. We're not looking for a wider conflict in the Middle East. In fact, every action the president has taken has been designed to de-escalate, to try to bring the tensions down. And obviously this attack, very, very serious.
Well, what? The counter argument could be that America was the one which got Iran where it is right now by plotting the first in the first place, which led to the revolution in the 70s, so it will be righting wrongs? What? That is not a counter argument. You just used my argument and then said, but what if things pan out differently this time? You literally just repeated what I said, and then your counter argument was basically, but what if it doesn't happen like that this time? Especially when, like, there are plenty of other countries that are close in proximity to Iran that you can point to as, like, abject failures of this exact same jingoistic, Western chauvinist attitude that we have towards doing coups on other countries in general, especially in that region.
Certainly escalatory on the behalf of these militia groups. We have to take that seriously, and we will. But I'm not going to get ahead of the president's decision space one way or the other.
This blood is on this administration's hands.
Biden says he doesn't want to escalate, yet in an election year, nor does he want to be accused of being soft on America's enemies, especially Iran, as hawks on the right are only too keen to remind him.
They end every statement of we're going to defend ourselves, but we don't want this thing to spread. And what Iran hears from that is, well, let's take it to the next level and see what we can get away with next time. And now we have 3 dead service members because of it.
Given these strikes in Jordan, what should or what do you think America will do next?
I think striking Shia-based militants in Iraq and Syria is almost a certainty that you're going to see that in retaliation. The real question is whether or not the U.S. is going to decide that at this point, this is all about Iran, and that you're going to have to see either covertly or overtly strikes and efforts against Iran directly in a way that we really haven't seen yet.
Isn't it also true that the crux of the matter is the war in Gaza? If the U.S. were to address that more forcibly with Israel, is that not getting to the actual?
There's something wild about, like, Israel straight up murking, like, probably 1,000 plus Palestinian Americans at this point. Like, I don't know how many Palestinian Americans have been murked by Israel since the fucking, maybe not 1,000, but like hundreds of Palestinian Americans, including one in, like, the West Bank last week. Okay. And America just basically going, you know what we should do? We should cut the funding to the main refugee relief agency at a time when there is, like, straight up ethnic cleansing happening to the Palestinians. But then, like, 3 service members are bombed by an Iranian proxy. They're like, oh, it's time to fucking nuke Iran. What are we talking about? And it's like, okay, where is the energy then? Like, what do you mean? Deal with Israel first. They have killed more American citizens than fucking Iran has. Fuck you mean?
heart of the problem.
I'm skeptical that just because the U.S. is able to compel a ceasefire, which I, by the way, don't think it can, that it's going to end the broader challenge. The reality is this is about Iran and Iran's role in the region and wanting to have a dominant voice in the region and not being deterred right now.
If that's President Biden's calculation too, that the time to address the threat of Iran directly is now, then America and the world is about to be dragged ever deeper into this conflict.
Well, earlier I spoke to the retired US general and former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, Wesley Clark. I asked him what action he thinks the US should now take.
In a crisis like this, you have to take the initiative away from the enemy. What I would call it is you have to establish escalation dominance. You keep apologizing for escalating, they keep hitting. So you got to hit back so hard that they say, okay, we've had enough, we're not going to strike back again. And that means you must go.
Time for a nuclear first strike, folks. Yeah. Nuking Tehran. Good stuff. Thank you, General Wesley Clark.
Go to the source, and the source is Iran. So you have to pick out the targets in Iran that will dissuade the Revolutionary Guards and the Ayatollahs.
Dude, there is nothing that will single-handedly create permanent 100-year Ayatollah supremacy in the entire region than America directly striking Iran. Okay? Like, I don't know if America is a Shia op or something. I don't know what they're doing. But like, if you want Iran to thrive, yeah, strike Iran. Like, literally, people were talking about how 4 Iranian political dissidents were executed by the state the other day. This kind of stuff is genuinely frustrating for many Iranians, understandably. Okay, they don't just like sit there and go, oh, that's chill, whatever, they deserved it. That's crazy. It's not. Okay, it's completely unacceptable. Guess what, though? Guess what? If you fucking blow up Iran, well, then all Iranians are going to turn in the same way to go, all right, well, now the real enemy is in the room. It's so stupid. It's so insane. Anyway, there's real resistance in Iran. Arm them, stop bombing, and giving the Iranians the means to overturn the government. Dude, guys, stop. No, this is so dumb. This part is also so silly. Please stop armchair quarterbacking regime change in other countries, please. I promise you. Like, that is what America does all the time. It is a demonstrable failure. Please. Oh.
From continuing this campaign.
So that does mean that you're talking about strikes in Iran itself, on Iranian territory.
That's right.
Yeah.
That would be, if I were in the chain of command, that's what I'd be recommending, because the tit for tat doesn't work. And we know that historically. We saw this when I was a young officer in Vietnam. Tit for tat doesn't work. You want to make a difference, you must use decisive force.
Yeah. Vietnam. So much tit for tat happened in Vietnam, which then was a decisive victory, I guess. Dude, he just brought up Vietnam, where we literally use a disproportionate use of force against a broadly civilian population and then got our shit pushed in. What are you saying? Vietnam quite literally is a demonstration of decisive force being an abject failure. You just proved the entire opposite point that you were trying to make. What the hell is he saying, man? Not only did we go absolutely balls to the wall in Vietnam in the least ethical ways possible in our illegal domination, but we also lost.
Take out these small outposts. Take them out. Don't strike once. Go back again and again. But you must also go to the source, and that source is Iran. The Iranian government is in deep trouble. Most of the people don't want it there, but they can't get rid of it. So I keep hearing from...
Yeah, which is why I, Wesley Clark, want to make sure that the Iranian government's approval rating skyrockets, okay? It's so funny that liberals simultaneously recognize, or at least use it as like a talking point, that like, oh, the Houthis are not genuine. They are only intercepting ships because they want to get popular support from the region. Okay? And it's so funny that like you say that, you fucking say that, so you recognize what attacking the Houthis is doing and what attacking like America's America's regional offshoot does to the popularity of certain militancies. But then you literally suggest the same method again to Iran. It's so dumb.
For my Iranian friends, send the B-52s in. Now, we're not going to send any B-52s in, I don't think. But this is a...
Oh my God, it's literally the joke I make all the time. Like, bro, please, I am Iranian. I want you to bomb Tehran. I am Iranian. I am telling you. Wesley Clark, I am telling you. Bomb Iran, please. Glass it, bro. Glass Iran, bro. Fucking Christ, dude. He's doing the fucking meme. Turkish accent hits me hard. No, that wasn't Turkish. That's Iranian.
a time where the United States has to establish its escalation dominance over Iran.
Right. And how do you factor in American domestic politics here? Because you have Donald Trump saying President Biden is leading you into World War III and saying none of this would have happened had he been president. How does that change the calculation as to what to do?
Well, I think that it's inevitable that there will be some effort on the part of politicians to make some domestic hay out of this. But I think statesmen have to rise above the domestic politics. And I think this is a case where President Biden has to choose what's right for
the statesmen have to rise above domestic politics and bomb Iran. I want you to understand, his advocacy is to bomb Iran. He's saying Biden has to rise to the occasion to bomb Iran. It is literally this meme. Yeah, it's straight up Holden Blood Feast. Fuck.
for the country. And you know, you have to be careful how you read this, because when I talk to Muslim Americans in the United States and Iranian Americans, what they're looking for from the president is strength. They're not looking for compromise. They know what the Iranian government's about. They know what its intent is. So they're looking to see a president who exhibits strength. It hasn't happened in Ukraine. And that started the slide. Really, Afghanistan did, and then Ukraine. And so what they see is an American administration which doesn't respond with the full force which it's capable. And they attribute it to timidity. They're looking for strong leadership. So I think the domestic politics of this are that the president will come out better politically at home and abroad if he responds more strongly.
Isn't the other way to stop this, though, to stop the war in Gaza? You know, you stop that war in Gaza, you stop the Houthi attacks on shipping, you stop these Iranian-backed attacks.
But be like, you're looking quite brown over there, talking to me about not bombing Iran and then taking away Israel from the equation. Excuse me. I'm talking about bipartisanly blowing up Iran. You're talking about pulling away from another conflict. The fuck is wrong with you?
That's the key to it all, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure that's a safe assumption. I think you could.
Oh, yeah, dude, totally. Here's a safe assumption. At the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. Another safe assumption is you will be able to defend yourself against said ads by subscribing for $5 or for free. With a Twitch Prime, by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
Stop the war in Gaza, you'd still have these attacks. You still have interference in shipping whenever Iran wants to do it. The war in Gaza is a convenient excuse for Iran to continue a long-term campaign to drive the United States out and to establish itself as.
This is so funny. Like, bro, if it's a convenient excuse, why not try it and test it out? And also, why has it not happened prior to the Gaza invasion? Like, he's taking the maximalist position here. He's saying, like, no, we have to kill everyone in Iran. I hope you guys understand. His position, even before Israel, even before the Houthis, is to end Iran. Okay? That's it. Like, his argument is, let's kill as many people as possible. I don't know how else he can make it clearer here. He just said, Iran will always have the capacity to strike ships at the Red Sea no matter what. Which implies that the real problem isn't even the Houthis, it's Iran. This is one school of thought in the State Department that we have advocated for in perpetuity. You have the John Boltons of the world obviously saying this kind of dumb shit.
Advisor to President Trump, Ambassador John Bolton.
As well. It's psychotic because it's like becoming a bipartisan consensus almost. Holden Blood Feast, Republican Iowa, 118 years old. Please, God, just let us nuke Iran. Nothing else matters. I'll do anything, please. I just want to see burning flesh one last time before I die. Respectable, bipartisan. So, yeah. Good stuff.
It's a regional hegemon. And so I think we have to be careful. Although it's popular in the press to pull all this together, in fact, it's entirely different. For Israel, what's happening in Gaza is an existential threat. Israel cannot.
That's crazy. Yeah, Israel is an existential threat. Iran is an existential threat to the United States. Palestinians are an existential threat to Israel. It always feels like there's an existential threat out there to like America and America's allies, man. It's crazy. He's like, it's not connected. They're just totally valid in doing what they're doing.
Continue business as usual with Hamas embedded in tunnels with weapons being.
Yeah, by the way, Israel's doing so good in Gaza that they still, yeah, I know it's Beanie Tuesday. Original artist, by the way, yeah. I've been following him for a long time. Also odd that they care about which country wants to rule over the Middle East, the same Middle East that they don't care about. Yeah. The full art is even funnier. I don't remember what the fuck where it is, but ay. It is likely that any retaliation from the U.S. wouldn't come as a single massive show of force, a Biden administration official says. Actions may be tiered. We may see several rounds of action. Great.
Being built there and supplied and continuing to attack Israel. Britain couldn't do it. You wouldn't have it if a group of people were in the Shetland Islands continuing to lob mortars into Scotland. You wouldn't accept it. And neither will Israel. And there's still the problem of Hezbollah in the north. So I think you have to keep these two problems separate. Israel needs to deal with Gaza. If it can deal with it in a more humanitarian way, that's fine. And they're trying.
But I don't give a shit. But they don't have to do that. I don't care because they are Muslimans.
I believe the United States has to deal with the situation in Iran. And the two are trying to be linked, but actually.
He literally doesn't care. He's like, I don't care about the genocide in Gaza. Great. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, who cares? I just want to nuke Iran. Please stay on message. I'm here to talk about why I believe we should nuke Iran.
Actually are distinct.
General Clark, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, I then spoke to Syed Mohammed Marandi, who's a professor at the University of Tehran. And I began by asking what he thinks would happen if the United States took that kind of military action against Iran.
It would bring down the global economy because Iranian military forces will respond decisively against American military bases.
Don't feed the Russian China-backed Iran troll. Oh my God. Former Supreme Commander of NATO ignoring the Russian nesting doll that is this Iranian trap. The Russian nesting doll. Okay, listen. Chatter. Iran's actions, or rather, Hamas and Israel's retaliation to Hamas has been genuinely beneficial for Russian interest. Okay? That is true. But I think we have to remember that, we are massively culpable in the way that we change our attention and direct our attention into Gaza rather than Ukraine. Like, it is in a way no different than saying, like, well, Hamas made Israel do genocide in Gaza. It's like, oh, Russia is making America shift their resources away from Ukraine and into Israel so that Israel can do a genocide. I don't know what to tell you, but like at a certain point, we have a little bit of culpability, I think.
Across the region and in the Persian Gulf in particular. And those regimes in the Persian Gulf that host U.S. bases would be seen as hostile. And therefore, their key oil and gas infrastructure would be not out of bounds.
And so the question of retaliation is there's no doubt in your mind, because General Clark argues that,
The two aren't linked, and I'm fairly sure Hezbollah wasn't attacking across Israel's northern border. The Houthis weren't firing missiles at drones and ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, and the level of attacks in Syria and Iraq were not the same before October 7th. Yeah. Anyone that says that these concepts are not linked are wrong. Of course they're linked. Yeah. it's Israel being an American proxy and everyone else in the region, either having a genuine interest in emancipation and also operating as an Iranian proxy, or just operating straight up as an Iranian proxy.
The government in Tehran is not popular with the whole population, and that a decisive military strike might make it stop and pause and say, no, this is where we back off.
I think when Trump murdered the Iranian general who led the fight against ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria and Iraq, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, which the Americans and their allies helped create. When the United States murdered him, we saw the millions of people in Tehran go to his funeral. I think the Americans should not believe their own propaganda.
What is Iran's strategy? Is it trying to say, unless you stop the bombing in Gaza, all of this is going to get worse?
That's not an Iranian strategy. That's clear as day to everyone. The United States likes to think, or likes to pretend, and your government likes to pretend, that everyone in this region is an Iranian proxy. Yemen is an Iranian proxy. Lebanon is an Iranian proxy. Hamas is an Iranian proxy. Iraqi is if that's the case, then we are the superpower, not the United States.
But all of those structures do get support from Iran, don't they? You know, there are Iranian Revolutionary Guard in Syria. You send weapons to the Houthis. It's clear that there are clear lines. So I'm just trying to work out what is the strategy to stop Israel, or what is the current Iranian government strategy?
As long as this continues, the situation is going to get worse. And have no doubt that the United States will not win this battle.
Do you think we are now on the road to a big escalation and, I mean, really a world war?
I don't think the United States is that stupid to launch an attack on Iran, because it will destroy the world economy. And the United States is already losing the war in Ukraine, and in its competition with China, it's not doing well at all. This is not a war that the Americans can win. It will definitely lose.
I mean, that's very interesting, because it's exactly what General Clark said is the Iranian view, that as long as they think America won't attack them with full force, they will carry on doing what they're doing. And you're sort of illustrating that point.
Have no doubt, Iran is fully prepared for an American strike. But the United States will feel the consequences immediately. Iran is not Yemen. Iran is not Iraq. Iran is not Syria, and it's not Hamas. It's not even Vietnam. The United States would be making the greatest miscalculation of the 21st century and the 20th century combined.
Mr. Marandi, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
I like that Wesley, guys, stop posting Millennium Challenge. I know. They had to they got owned by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in the Millennium Challenge. I know, I've talked about it a million times over. The real problem is that this dude is kind of riding Iran too hard. He's right. He's not wrong. I think partially because it would be, I guess it would be the closest to World War III. How is he riding Iran hard? He said Iran would retaliate aggressively and it would genuinely create danger for the global economy. You can't say this dude is kind of riding Iran too hard. The global economy would get destroyed, question mark, when simultaneously so many people are losing their minds over what Yemen is doing. Yemen is nothing. Like, the Ansar Allah is nothing. They are literally a proxy that was genocided until a year ago. Okay? Using Iranian weapons, they have been able to literally disrupt global trade by 13%? 15%? Come on, dog. You're out of your mind if you think that Iran does not have a much larger capability. Like, if you personally think like we have to retaliate against the Houthis because they're disrupting global trade, okay, then what do you think Iran can do? They'll just start pumping pipelines, I think. I mean, which is what he said. It would shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which would be even bigger than the Bab el-Mandeb and fire missiles on energy facilities. Yeah, exactly. They would just start doing Russia shit to like every regional actor that is aligned with America. They would just blow up their fucking energy plants. They would blow up oil refineries. They have done it. They did it. They did it with the Houthis before. What do you mean? And that wasn't even like directly because of Iran. It was like, do you not think that that would be genuinely a problem for the global economy? Russia's shit, but gas prices are stabilized? Brother, I don't think you understand. Russia did that to Ukraine. Okay? Iran would be doing it to Saudi Arabia and many other places. Like, it doesn't, the idea that like these two things are the same, like you're not getting your energy from Ukraine. And even then, Russia itself, due to the sanctions, decided to fuck over the United States. Like OPEC Plus is a big part of the reason why our gas prices were absolutely destroyed. That was for limitations on supply, artificial limitations on supply. Imagine having real limitations on supply, real limitations caused by straight up, rockets falling on top of the refineries. I'm giving a presentation on the disruption of commercial shipping in the Red Sea to my team in the bank I work in. What main point should I convey? Dude, I don't know why you're asking me. Doesn't Iran have one of the weakest economies right now? And the Houthis are disrupting trade, but the word adapted pretty quickly. Don't get me wrong, but it would hurt the world economy. Guys, I don't like, this isn't to say like, oh, dude, Iran would win or anything like that. I'm just simply saying, if you have nothing to lose and you stand to gain a tremendous amount, you can do an incredible return on investment with like very little funds. If the Houthis aren't a perfect example of that, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, please think. The Houthis are not like the Ansar Allah administration is coming off of the heels of a genocide. Okay? You have Hezbollah, not in great economic circumstances in Lebanon, but still, that's like a standing operational military, much better weapons. And then you have Iran. It genuinely does not take much. But in comparison to what Iran has, well, it has a lot more than than Hezbollah does. It has a lot more than Yemen does, certainly. I'm trying to explain to you that if Iran started directly targeting the energy infrastructure that the rest of the world relies on, due to its very obvious capabilities that they've demonstrated already, if they did that across the board, that would genuinely tank the global economy. This doesn't mean like, I guess that Iran meme, except for the US. No, like the point is, I don't know how to describe it. I'm not saying like, you know how like Americans will be like, oh, dude, my dad could beat up your dad style shit when they talk about like, oh, dude, America's not going full force. If they were going full force, like it would be over. It'd be over. Like, that's not how wars are fought, right? It's not like you just like throw humans in the fuck pile and just like cause them to get grinded by the meat grinder. Well, that's kind of how Russia fights its wars, but America doesn't fight wars like that. Okay? It doesn't work like that. It is a calculation. It is a war of attrition, and it is a war fought on economic grounds. I mean, if you're a big truther on like, I guess, forcibly ensuring that we move into renewable energy, then yeah, Iran disrupting like damn near entirety of our fossil fuel production in one area would probably cause a lot of a lot of the Western world to like reevaluate how much we rely on oil. Iran being woke and demonstrating how to effectively blow up a pipeline. Yeah. I guess my point is, it's not about like, oh, well, our dad can beat your dad. Like, Iran will use all of their weapons. Like, I'm not saying they're like, if America and Iran got out to a fucking field and threw all of their collective arms at one another, yeah, America would defeat Iran. But that's not how wars are fought. That's not how it works. Does that make sense? Like, a lot of people have this kind of attitude where they genuinely think like, you know, it's like a Pokemon battle or something. And it's like, well, I have the stronger Pokemon. I have the better weapons. It's like, no, dude, why do you think Vietnam was a loss? Why do you think Afghanistan was a loss? Do you think America simply wasn't going hard enough on Afghanistan or Vietnam, as a matter of fact? This is my point. Like, do you think that we are not stronger than the North Vietnamese armies? Do you think we are not stronger than the fucking Taliban? Yeah, see, Israel's not using all of his weapons in Gaza. The one weapon it's not using is like its nuke. Another great example is, yeah, people being like, Israel's not going extra hard on Gaza. It's like, no, it is. It is going super hard on Gaza. They're doing ethnic cleansing. It's like the hardest you can go before you just nuke the entire strip. What do you have to say about Israel having evidence of UN members helping Hamas? Document spells out allegations against 12 UN employees Israel says participated in the Hamas attack. I don't believe anything that comes out of Israel until there's like a tremendous amount of evidence, and not evidence directly coming from the IDF, because I don't believe that either. But even if it's real, okay, even if it's really real, bro, this agency has like 12,000 employees. What the fuck are we talking about? Oh shit, dude. 12,000 employees with like 12 people working with Hamas. Damn, dude. I guess we should kill every Palestinian now by shutting off aid as they're being ethnically cleansed. The fuck out of here. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, dude. 12 UN employees apparently were Hamas, which, by the way, we'll probably quietly find out that was also incredibly massaged too. This is usually how it works. But even if it's 100% true, like you're talking Yahya Sinwar level, okay? I don't give a shit. Fire them. It doesn't matter. Like almost 3 million motherfuckers rely, more than 3, almost 5 million people rely on this agency for survival. What are we talking about? Under the Israeli apartheid. What do you mean? 12 of them were working with Hamas. Oh, shit, dude. Fuck. I guess throw the whole agency away. 17 out of 19 attackers on 9/11 were Saudi. What do? That is a way higher percentage of people responsible for 9/11 that were Saudi. We didn't do shit. So dumb. Tel Aviv, an Israeli document obtained Monday spelled out allegations against a dozen UN employees the country said took part in the Hamas's October 7 assault, claiming 7 stormed into Israeli territory, including one who participated in a kidnapping and another who helped steal a soldier's body. The allegations against staffers of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees prompted the United States and several other countries to freeze funds vital for the body. No, the real reason why we fucking froze funds vital for the body is because we're genocide-era pieces of shit. Straight up. That's it. I mean, that's the reason why we did that. It has been a long-standing goal of Israel to like destroy UNRWA, which is the major agency that is. UNRWA is the major agency that is basically keeping Palestinians alive, and the fact that we just you know, the fact that they have tried to, Israel has tried to like destroy UNRWA for the longest time, and America is just like leaning into it after the ICJ decision. It's not accidental. They did that on purpose. 100%. They did that on purpose, just to say like we don't give a fuck. It's actually insanely fucked because Kerem Shalom crossing of humanitarian aid is blocked by protests and they're not evacuated. Israeli officials originally told the press that they obtained intel about 12 former UNRWA employees, 7 teachers, a custodian, on ground level staff through interrogation of detainees. Oh, dude, no way. No way they didn't get it. They did not just get it from interrogations. If that's the case, America should be punished at the global stage. And so should the United Kingdom. Anyone and everyone that has fucking pulled funding from UNRWA off of this information, this is not actionable information. I'm not going to believe this. I don't want to believe it. That is like legitimately the worst, dude. Shin Bet, and it was because they like made a social media post or something about the martyrs. Oh my God. Now Israel's telling the New York Times they got the info through surveillance. The Times ran that new explanation without even mentioning the original one. Israeli officials apparently originally told Axios through, I guess, Barak's reporting, Barak Ravi's reporting, that they got this information through interrogation of detainees. This was strong and corroborated intelligence, the official said. A lot of the intelligence is a result of interrogations of militants who were arrested during the October 7 attack. Now that, of course, is not actionable intelligence. That's a lie because it's torture. We know for a fact that that is not actionable intelligence. I've talked about it a lot. Because Israel has long been criticized by human rights groups for abusing and torturing detainees, the optics of that explanation were awkward in the West. Now Israel's telling the New York Times they got it through surveillance. The Times ran that new explanation without even mentioning the original one. Oh, God. I fucking despise the way that the New York Times is approaching this. The text message they used as evidence, by the way. Media coverage. UN Watch, a monitor UN performance, claims to have identified alleged UNRWA members affiliated with the October 7 attack. The non-governmental organization published several screenshots of chat messages on its site without further evidence to corroborate the information it provides or the alleged participation in the attack, as Israel claims. How'd you find out about all torture? All the torture? Is that just what Israel does? Famously. Yes. I don't even think people in Israel believe the interrogation videos. Bro. They're not even fucking creative about it. Like, do you not remember after October 7th, the interrogation videos that they posted? It was literally like, yes, I am ISIS and I am Hamas and I am ISIS. Like, they would have these dudes like shaking with like visible scars going, yes, I am Hamas and I am ISIS. Yes, I am ISIS. I am just like ISIS as Hamas. It's just like, dude, what the fuck are you saying? I don't know. If you look at a decent portion of the Israelis believe the propaganda, I'm sure they believe the propaganda, not the fucking interrogation propaganda, though. That stuff is so above and beyond. What? Not many people are aware of this, but dangerous events are unfolding in Yemen. The U.S. is sending its fighters to train in Eritrea to Yemen on civilian aircraft using Mocha Airport, which is under the authority of the PLC. I don't know if this is the case. What is this? They have boots on the ground this morning? Oh my God. The new ceasefire outline. In 2017, when UN aid workers were caught and sentenced for creating a pedophile ring, 145 incidents involving 311 victims in 2016 alone. Many were children. We didn't just shut down the UN aid agencies, especially in places that need it. Yeah, exactly. UNRWA is also like specifically created for Israel's genocidal intent. Israel's actions since its inception have been so uniquely violent that like there's an entire agency specifically designed to like help Palestinians survive. I think the UNRWA shutdown was totally symbolic. I think it was basically just America and the UK saying like, "Oh yeah, nice ruling, nice court ruling you got there, International Court of Justice." But it's just us, baby.
Just to follow up, you said Iran was behind the attack. So what does that mean? Have you seen evidence of financing or directing anything specific to this attack, not just generally, but specifically?
So maybe I need to clarify further from what Lita had mentioned. We know that Iran funds these groups like Kataib Hezbollah. We know that these IRGC backed.
She's like uniquely bad too. I mean, they roll her out every time.
Militias are the ones responsible for attacks on our troops in Iraq and Syria. Beyond that, we're doing an intelligence assessment. We don't have. I can't give you today that.
I was wrong. Okay. The White House has notified Congress that the U.S. has troops on the ground in Yemen. Wow. Pentagon suggests there's no U.S. troops in Yemen, but last month the White House said there are. Oh, that's old. Okay, never mind. Yeah, we have operatives there. Fuck.
This attack linking it to Iran.
We just know that Iran funds these groups like Kataib Hezbollah and other groups that have attacked our forces, but I don't have more to share on that.
You're saying, right?
As a general matter, yes. Idris.
Just to follow up.
Saving Private Ryan, but for Nikki Haley's husband doing war crimes in Yemen? Yeah. Except no one is saving her. No one is saving him. Yeah, this is really dangerous stuff overall. But also, I don't know. I mean, this is like America shit. We do this all the time. Here.
The US says it does not seek another war, but it will protect itself and respond appropriately following the drone attack that killed 3 American soldiers and wounded dozens near the Jordan-Syria border at a remote outpost called Tower 22. Since Israel's retaliation for the October the 7th attacks, US military bases in Syria and Iraq have been attacked more than 170 times. The group behind the deaths at the Tower 22 base, called Islamic Resistance in Iraq, are part of an Iranian-sponsored network across the Middle East. Known as the Axis of Resistance, there's a number of pro-Iranian militias based in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, the Palestinian territories, and as far south as Yemen. All are opposed to Israel and the United States. From Washington, our North America editor Sarah Smith has the latest.
In the Situation Room, President Biden, with his defense secretary, is considering his military reaction. We're told he's weighing his options. He needs to retaliate, but without causing more conflict.
We do not seek another war. We do not seek to escalate. But we will absolutely do what is required to protect ourselves, to continue that mission, and to respond appropriately to these attacks.
Shortly after he learned of the attack yesterday, Mr. Biden vowed the US will respond.
and we shall respond.
Now he needs to decide what that response will be. His Secretary of State warning other actors not to get involved.
From the outset, we've been very clear in warning that anyone looking to take advantage of conflict in the Middle East and try to expand it, don't do it.
The US has not said which militia group it believes is responsible for the attack on their base in Jordan, or why the deadly drone was not intercepted. President Biden's opponents lay the blame on him and are demanding he target Iran itself in response. Senator Lindsey Graham wrote on X, "I'm calling on the Biden administration to strike targets of significance inside Iran, not only as a reprisal for the killing of our forces, but as deterrence against future aggression." The Senate's top Republican, Mitch McConnell, said, "The cost of failure to deter Americans' adversaries is again measured in American lives." And Donald Trump's response? Well, he claims, "This attack would never have happened if I was president."
This attack, or just like so much of Israel, Palestine, is directly his fault. And as always, the Democrats didn't do shit to fix it. But so much of it is directly his fault. Why? God, I hate this so much.
Not even a chance. In Tehran, the Iranian government denied involvement in the attack. A spokesman said the militias do not take orders from Iran. The 3 soldiers killed yesterday have been named as Specialist Brianna Moffett, Specialist Kennedy Sanders, and Sergeant William Rivers. Their deaths will mark a new phase in America's role in the escalating tensions of the Middle East. So what are the options that President Biden is weighing up inside the White House? Well, he could redouble America's efforts to attack the Iranian-backed militias in the region who have been striking at U.S. forces, but those have obviously so far failed to deter those groups from striking at Americans. A much more aggressive response would be to try to target the source of the Iranian missiles and drones that those groups are using. He could go after the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in positions in Iraq or Syria rather than in Iran itself, but even that would risk some kind of escalation from Iran. I mean, just as the US says it is not seeking war and it doesn't want conflict with Iran, it's pretty convinced that Tehran doesn't want some kind of direct conflict with Washington. But everybody knows they have to take great care in this delicate and dangerous situation.
Sarah, thank you. Lise Doucette is here with me in the studio. Lise, as well as focusing on how to respond to the deaths of its soldiers, the US is still trying to find ways to pause Israel's war in Gaza and bring home the remaining hostages held by Hamas, which is regarded as a terrorist organisation by many Western governments, including the UK. What can you tell us?
In the last hour, the US's top diplomat, Antony Blinken, that you heard in that report, said that the United States was very, very actively pursuing this. Now, we focused on these talks briefly last night here on the 10. What's new today is that there are new details provided by the Prime Minister of Qatar, which is playing a pivotal role in these discussions. And he said in Washington that they were now ready to present a framework to Hamas after a weekend of talks in Paris involving spy chiefs from Israel, the United States and Egypt. The Prime Minister spoke of good progress, he said, in achieving a ceasefire, which would allow some 100 hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza in exchange for thousands of Palestinian prisoners and the delivery of more aid. Now, it has to be said that today there's a less positive assessment from Israel, which spoke of significant gaps, unacceptable conditions, and one official vowing that Israeli troops won't leave Gaza until, in his words, complete victory. But Israel is under pressure to bring the hostages home, most of all from the families of the hostages. So while there are gaps, these crucial talks will go on.
Oops. It's not a leak. It's a delivery virtual assistant. Did you see the Israeli conference about resettling Gaza? Yes, I did. Also, I'm a gamer, so you can't get me. The Pentagon press secretary says, I'm not aware of any U.S. force on the ground in Yemen, but the White House recently told Congress United States military personnel are deployed to Yemen to conduct operations. John Kirby goes mask off when asked if Biden is going to look at the American people for his decision making.
In his response, has authorization under Article 2. Does that mean that he's planning to bypass Congress in any matter of war in terms of this response?
You don't game? That's what you think. I've been gaming so crazy. I've been gaming like crazy. I've been playing Dave the Diver nonstop. I'm so cracked at it. How's Dave the Diver been? Incredible.
I'm not going to get ahead of his decision making. He has the authority under Article 2 as Commander-in-Chief. And as we have in the past, so we will in the future appropriately inform leaders in Congress about what we're doing in keeping with that authority.
Okay, so I just want to follow up because the president was sent a letter on Friday from a bipartisan group of lawmakers, and he had been accused of unauthorized strikes against the Houthis by bypassing Congress. They said no president, regardless of political party, has the constitutional authority to bypass Congress on matters of war. Do you think that that would apply here, given this escalation?
We're not at war with the Houthis. We're not looking for a war with Iran. The president is comfortable that he has the appropriate legal authorities to act in self-defense of our ships, our sailors, and our troops in our facilities at sea or ashore.
Right. Isn't it time to involve the American people? I mean, given the fact that the American people were not happy about,
I suspect the American people are not happy about attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. I also suspect they're not happy about seeing American troops killed at a base in Jordan. The president has the authority to defend those troops in those facilities, and he'll do that.
He's weighing all of his options. This is an election year. Is the president looking at his polling when he's weighing all of these options? Is the president looking at what?
My goodness, that's a heck of a question. He's not looking, ma'am. Let me just stop you right there. The Commander-in-Chief is not looking at polling or considering the electoral calendar when he's defending.
Oh, he's definitely not. Because if he was, he'd be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do this. This is like kind of dumb. Ma'am, that's one heck of a question. Yeah, well, he should be, actually, I think. Personally, I think he should be looking maybe a little bit. He's like, ma'am, you're so wrong. Biden is doing this because he's just nutty with it. There's not really any other reason. There's no rhyme or reason, if we're being for real, about the situation in Israel. We don't fully understand it. Well, except for me, John Kirby. I love what Biden is doing. But you know, a lot of people, ma'am, are calling what Biden is doing sicko mode. That's right. He is going full tilt. Doesn't matter. Pro-Israel unconditionally. Doesn't care if he loses an election. Doesn't even know that this is an election year, really. I mean, I've asked him. But let's get to Nancy Jebediah Pelosi, okay? I feel like foreign policy is its own entity, the empire, for sure. But even then, this transcends beyond that. Look at this. Whenever Biden hits a new low, the most common thing I see from Democrats is complaining about how it's the media's fault. But even if it was just that, why isn't a guy with 50 years of experience prepared for that? Isn't he supposed to be canny enough to avoid the usual pitfalls? Great question. Biden's job approval among ages 18 to 29 is right now sitting at a whopping 71% disapproval. It's funny because, like, when you look at the 2020 election, the demographics that turned out that gave Biden the victory, okay, aside from the usual voter patterns or the way that, like, certain votes swung, the ones that have consistently told the polls that they're probably not going to vote for Biden again are literally the 18 to 29, 18 to 35 in general. It's like it's the under 44 relatively younger voters that are that even before October 7. I'm talking about the what do you call it? The voter population in those demographics under the age of 35 especially have consistently stated that they don't know if they'll vote at all. So there's like, I think it was what, 17% of the overall entire population of people that voted, that were voter eligible in 2020, that are currently in the who knows where we'll go camp. And those guys are usually very young voters. The Oibrovian Marxists, I'm not voting. Half the time when people say I'm not voting, they're just like not from America. It's so funny. It's always, it's my favorite pastime whenever someone says like, yeah, I ain't voting for Biden. You can't make me. And then everybody goes like, fuck you, fucking kill yourself. Oh, I bet you want, I hope, Trump makes you, forcibly detains you and kills you or whatever. And then the poster would be like, I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada, so I can't really vote. Yeah, this guy's name is Oibrovian Marxist, okay? He's not voting for Joe Biden because he's probably British. Unless you mean like unless you mean that you were illegally voting for the Democrats reliably until this year. Listen, as a reliable illegal voter for the Democrats, I've decided this year I am not voting for the Democrats illegally. I'm not voting for them at all.
On what happens next, we spoke earlier to John Kirby, the National Security Council's coordinator, White House's point of view about who is ultimately responsible for this, and that is the country of Iran. They're not hitting proxies of ours, they're hitting us. Are we going to hit them at last?
Again, I'm simply not going to get ahead of the president.
Do you not hear the way, dude, American media is so horny. They're literally like, I want death and destruction. I want murder. I want it so fucking bad. Are we going to fucking do it or not? I can't come. I want to come. This is the only way I can come. Please let me come. We need blood for the blood god. It's crazy.
President's decision space. We're not looking for a war with Iran. We're not looking for a conflict broader in the region. We're doing everything we can to try to take the tensions down. We will make the right decisions, the appropriate decisions to defend ourselves, our troops, and our facilities. But again, that decision rests with the commander-in-chief, and I'm not going to get ahead of where he is.
Admiral, respectfully, I know we're not looking for a war with Iran, but with 3 dead soldiers this morning, are we not already in one?
I would tell you that we are certainly mindful of the destabilizing behavior and actions of Iran and the way they support these groups, these militia groups in Iraq and Syria, Hamas, Hezbollah, the maritime attacks that they're permitting by the Houthis. We're mindful of the destabilizing behavior and the influence that they have in the region. Again, I'm not going to get ahead of the president and what he might decide or might not decide. We are not interested in a broader conflict in the region. We're not looking.
Fuck. Why is this blipping? I don't want the blipping. How do I? Oh God, it's gonna keep blipping. Fuck. It's not gaming. I'm talking to a fucking virtual assistant on the side. Jesus Christ. And now it is being annoying. Mute the tab? I can't mute it. It's like not a mutable tab. Wait, can I mute the tab? No, it's like a totally separate window, it seems. Oh, sound is automatic. Boom. All right, turn the sound off. Let's go. Never mind, it worked. AI girlfriend. It's not an AI girlfriend. Shut up. Wait, so like a sex bot? No, it's a... Shut up, chat. Shut up. No, it's a delivery thing, okay? Fuck. Yeah, I just turned off the sound.
Looking for another war, but we absolutely will do what we have to do to protect ourselves.
Admiral Kirby, thank you very much. Our thoughts, as yours are with the families of those 3 fallen.
A Fox News alert.
Hit him hard. Senator Graham urges Biden to hit Iran after killing a U.S. forces. Hell yeah, baby. Give him hell. Hit him hard. Was your AI girlfriend reminding you about the top of the hour? Fuck me. Why do I come on here just to suffer? Why? Because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break, and it gives me a little bit of happiness to debate you, which I'm not able to now because you took that away from me. My little joy. How do you get baited by such short sentences? Because I read everything. I don't scan it. I guess the way I read it is I don't scan it. I don't even think about it when I'm reading it. That's why I sometimes read the dumbest questions. Owen Gila, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. You too can avoid the ads at the top of the hour by subscribing for $5 or for free, or by getting gifted a sub. If you're lucky, use a 3-minute ad break now. If Biden doesn't start World War III in the next week, he must be impeached and put in prisons. Multiple prisons, not one. He must be put in prisons.
President Biden is promising a response after 3 U.S. troops were killed in a drone strike in Jordan. 38 others were injured in the attack carried out by Iran-backed militants, and the number is expected to rise. Jonathan Gilliam is a U.S. Navy SEAL and former FBI special agent, and he joins me now. Jonathan, good morning to you. This is an act of war, and it didn't come without warning. There have been 160 attacks on U.S. troops in the Middle East since mid-October. How does the president respond? This deserves to be more than just a 3-day.
This guy's, yeah, this is my guy. Like, I go to a duck hunter looking ass dude when I want to know about how hard we need to hit him.
Story.
Good morning, Carly and Todd. You're right. It does deserve to be more than just a 3-day story. But you just said it yourself. There's been over 160 attacks, and that's just in that area. That's not including the issues that we've had with the Houthis in the Red Sea. But what is the common denominator here is that either Biden and his administration either does nothing, or they do the rhetoric that they use is a proportionate and singular response. And so they will pick areas that they can carry out airstrikes on, but those airstrikes, by and large, do nothing to stop the head of the snake, which is Iran. And it doesn't matter if it's Hamas, Hezbollah, whoever is responsible for this particular attack, or the Houthis in the Red Sea. Iran backs these individuals regardless of Shia or Sunni ties, and they back them with money, weapons, and training because this is how they fight through proxy wars.
Yeah, and 3 families are going to get the worst news of their lives. And we will get these soldiers.
When someone says Iran is like our version of Hamas, when someone says Iran, when they hit the I, okay, the likelihood that they want to nuke the entirety of Iran gets is super high, okay? There's 2 different ways of saying Iran in America, both of which is oftentimes as bloodthirsty. You either have the diaspora Iranian voice. They definitely want to nuke. They definitely want to glass Tehran. And then you have the Iran. Iran. They hit the hard eye. It's like
pictures eventually, and then every single time we do, the story becomes even more real and more tragic. Senator Lindsey Graham says that the White House should take immediate and strong action, saying the Biden administration...
Yeah, the Arabs and Iran.
Can take out all the Iranian proxies they like, to your point, Jonathan, but it will not deter Iranian aggression. I am calling on the Biden administration to strike targets of significance inside Iran, not only as reprisal for the killing of our forces, but as deterrence against future aggression. Hit Iran now, hit them hard. What are the chances that the president surprises us and does something like that? And if not, what happens next?
I think the chance of the Biden administration doing something that aggressive is very unlikely, because it is, as we have seen historically, whether we're looking at Afghanistan, the way they deal with China, how they tried or did not or failed and didn't even attempt to stop Russia from crossing into the Ukraine. The Biden administration does not carry out any type of military operation that would threaten the Biden administration politically. So the chances are they're not going to do anything to Iran. And I'd like to say one other thing. Lindsey Graham is correct in what he's saying, but why does Lindsey Graham and all the other conservatives in Washington, D.C., why do they wait until Iran does something like this to go and take the leadership of Iran out, to take the military leadership out, or the generals? That's one thing Trump did. Trump did many things that were great, but the one thing that he did in relation to this was he took out that general when he was starting to maneuver in the same way, and that's what Iran understands. Yeah. They don't. They and their proxies will continue to do what they're doing unless they themselves are hit and hit hard.
Yeah, and there was recently memorial in honor of that General Qasem Soleimani in Iran, and there was a terror attack that took place during that memorial, and it turns out the United States warned Iran that something was going to happen, and this is the thanks we get. So that is another extension of this story. And, you know, Jonathan, just 2 weeks ago, President Biden...
Why did the media flip like this when the two SEALs died? Because they were conducting an operation, not sitting at a base. I think that's probably what it is. I would assume that that's their major reason. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. One second, hold on. Oh, what does this mean? I have to set up a redelivery. God damn it. Hold on, chat. I know I'm fucking being annoying. It sucks. Smart parcel carrier redelivery. Hold on. I think this should work. This is the real content we join for. Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure that I'm like not.
Was asked about his message to Iran, and he says they know not to do anything. He said he delivered a message to Iran. They know not to do anything. It's a little hard to hear him when he said it, but let's just play that clip really quickly, and then we'll get your response.
Okay, this sucks. This is like not informative at all. U.S. condemns conference call for Israel. Negotiators working towards a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Biden vows to shut down the border. All right, let's talk about the border saga, and then we'll move on to fun shit. Okay. The world is fucked, man. The people we have in power don't give a shit about the actual people. Yeah, I mean, they never have.
The influx of migrants continues at the southern border. Washington hoping a deal to stem the tide could be close.
If that bill were the law today,
What? Oh my God. That's the guy. I think Assam Parker and I should have a beer summit in Manhattan sometime soon. You guys found him. Does he want to fuck me? Like, why is he posting like a sick ass photo of me? I don't understand that part. That part seems kind of odd, I think. Like, what's the deal here? Is he trying to fuck? Is he trying to smash? What is this? Is there an article about you in the tweet? Yeah, I think it's his website. I'm not going to click on it. Sick ass photo is debatable, but I just look hot. Okay. Yeah. The outfit is not great. It's giving Halloween placemat. But like, I look hot. Even with this ugly ass fit, I still look good, I think. And you don't. 2013 ass photo. Yeah, I mean, it's an old ass photo. It is like a 2013 ass photo because it is. Outfit is ugly, but your face card never declines. Thank you. I did have a hat phase in like around 2014 to like 2017, I would say. I was a hat guy. This is true. Framework for ceasefire deal being put to Hamas, the Qatar Prime Minister says. Proposal for the 45-day pause in fighting and release of 35 Israeli hostages and up to 4,000 Palestinian prisoners. Taking care of yourself was paying off. You still look good, as good as then. Oh, thank you. You mother boarded the world's largest cunt wave. The base of the deal is a 45-day pause in the fighting, leading to the release of 35 Israeli hostages and many 4,000 Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails. I mean, I foresee a lot of the ceasefire negotiations going south regardless, not just the negotiations process, but like, I just don't think that, I think that as soon as the hostages are completely released, I think that as soon as the hostages are completely released, it's going to turn into a bedlam. What is this? 1 minute TikTok summary article you didn't want to click? Thanks, man. Take a week off. Yeah, the bombing will... Once the last hostage is out of Gaza, it's like bedlam. All right, let's get to the border, where the Democrats are also leaning into being reactionary Republicans for some weird reason, which is cool, I guess. This is how we operate all the time now. This is what we do.
I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
President Biden and lawmakers working on a bipartisan deal to expand the president's authority at the border. Lawmakers hopeful it can pass.
We do have a bipartisan deal. We're finishing the text right now.
This despite former President Trump opposing the deal.
I'd rather have no bill than a bad bill. A bad bill you can't have.
Mr. Trump condemning the deal in a flurry of Truth Social posts over the weekend, claiming without evidence there will be major terror attacks if migrants continue to come in. Other Republicans pushing back.
Donald Trump, the last thing he needs to do is tell them to wait to pass a border deal until the election. We can't wait one more day.
And it comes as Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott is in a standoff with the federal government, denying federal agents access to an area in Eagle Pass that's been the epicenter of the migrant surge. Now surrounded by a fence and razor wire, the state even had.
Although Trump denies it, RFK Jr. says Team Trump did reach out to him
early on
to see if he would be Trump's running mate, and he turned it down. Big mistake from Trump. Dude, see, this is why you know his team is not listening to me right now. They're not watching. I already said this. It's the unity ticket, baby. They're not listening to me, and it's kind of fucked up.
Adding more razor wire after last week, a Supreme Court ruling gave Border Patrol agents the power to remove it. Republican governors from 25 states signing a letter supporting Texas.
Texas should stand their ground.
Oh, fuck. I forgot to talk about Nancy Pelosi. Sorry. Two things I want to cover with Nancy Slaylosi. Cunt mother. Okay. Mother Nancy Slaylosi went on Donna Bash's State of the Union, okay, and she has some choice words for the activists. You silly little activists, okay? You silly little activists running around demanding ceasefires in Gaza and shit like that. Let's take a look.
My house all the time, so I have a feeling for what feelings they have, but we have to think about what we're doing. And what we have to do is try to stop the suffering in Gaza. This is.
How do we do that? Yeah, if only there was a way to stop the suffering in Gaza. I'm sorry. Help. I can't stop giving weapons to the guys doing the suffering in Gaza.
Women and children, people who don't have a place to go. So let's address that.
I love that Lib line is like, she's right about Russia. Okay, we're America. What do you mean? We could just literally not give Israel the weapons and be like, sorry, this is going to Ukraine. The idea that like Russia is the reason why, or China is the reason why we're giving the weapons to Israel is so dumb. You're giving the weapons. What the fuck do you mean it's Russia? If anything, Russia loves America consistently giving the weapons that would normally go to Ukraine to Israel instead. This is what I don't understand. They're like, oh, Russia is what? Russia is stoking tensions. Okay, you don't understand. Russia is loving this right now. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine, fair. Is Israel's genocidal actions in Gaza genuinely to Russia's benefit in Ukraine? Absolutely. Who's the one arming Ukraine and arming Israel? We are. So clearly, if your goal is like, no, we got to give Ukraine these weapons, like we can't let Russia win, then fucking stop arming Israel. It makes no sense.
But for them to call for a ceasefire is Mr. Putin's message.
What do you mean? Why? If they called for a ceasefire in Gaza, if there was a ceasefire in Gaza, then you could just go back to arming Ukraine instead of arming Israel. This makes no sense. How do we know that's what's the truth? Like, how do we know if Israel's receiving arms from the USA? I mean, there's logs of it. Like, there's tracking. They also flex it. It's the munitions type that they're using. Like, they're American arms. What? We confirm it? Source? Brother, just Google it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. What? So when we send arms to a country, unless it's like a black budget operation, oftentimes it's like, even then there's like some level of paper trail that you can use with a FOIA request. Okay. In most circumstances, like, we're very open, we're very public about who we're sending weapons to. And over the course of the past couple of months, I've covered extensively the fact that, like, the Biden administration has bypassed its own State Department regulations that they have with respect to what kind of weapons are being sent to Israel, and also the tracking and the tracking of the kinds of weapons being sent to Israel, and also what those weapons will be used for. Like, all of that stuff, all of those norms, I guess, we completely eviscerated. Beyond that, Biden has sidestepped congressional approval to continue giving more arms to Israel. Also, then there's a much larger arming bill as well. I don't know. I mean, here, this is literally the CIA's very own. This is the Voice of America, operated by the State Department. Like, it's not hidden. It's not like a secret. I've never thought about someone being like, what's the source on this? What's the source on Biden living in the White House? Excuse me? Source? Was that like a gotcha? I don't know. Maybe he just genuinely didn't know. I don't. Anyway, it's funny because you said Raytheon makes the Iron Dome missiles in Arkansas. Yes, they also make the white phosphorus that Israel is illegally using. Both doubly illegal because Israel is a belligerent occupier, and also doubly illegal because you're not supposed to use white phosphorus on a civilian population as a means to, like, torture them. So yeah, Arkansas also produces, like, the white phosphorus Israel is using as well on the civilian population in Gaza. Yeah, you can't use it on soldiers either. Yeah, you're not supposed to use it unless I think it's like, what, to just, like, light it up. Like, it's supposed to be used as a means to, like, there's two different ones, right? It's either for smoke cover or for lighting up the sky, right? Isn't it? There's like it's an illumination target. It's just smoke for concealment or marking. Yeah. No, white phosphorus isn't for illumination. Illumination rounds exist for that reason, not white phosphorus. I thought white phosphorus and illumination rounds were similar. But I might be wrong. I've talked about this before. I'm not a munitions autist at all. I don't know enough. Or, yeah, I'm not a War Thunder player. Exactly. Anyway. It used to be used to illuminate, but now there's less dangerous stuff. White phosphorus for illumination is very prone to blow up and no bueno if you want things to be illuminated and to also be burned alive. They make the illumination rounds for them M777 howitzer. They are white phosphorus. I was an artillery marine for 6 years. Yeah, the artillery rounds are illumination rounds. That's the one that they used on the Al Ahli hospital originally. Remember the hospital that Israel definitely didn't bomb, that they actually did bomb with a illumination round 2 days prior to them certainly not bombing the courtyard and all the controversy that came afterwards. Anyway, where was I? What the fuck was I talking about? Oh, I got sidetracked by this guy asking for sources. But yeah, Nancy Pelosi. Interesting stuff from Nancy. Never really thought about it this way. And now that I have thought about it this way, I realize that it's the dumbest fucking argument you could possibly make. Because if your point overall is to claim that Russia personally is like pushing for a ceasefire and would benefit greatly from a ceasefire, well then you're a fucking dumbass. Because guess what? Technically, a ceasefire, a cessation of hostilities in Gaza would mean that America could care more about Ukraine rather than Israel. So, I don't know. Maybe because they're stupid. That's why.
Mr. Putin.
These Russians are so stupid. Mr. Putin, tear down that wall.
There is Mr. Putin's message. Mr. Putin's message. Make no mistake, this is directly connected to what he would like to see. Same thing with Ukraine. It's about Putin's message. I think some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia, and I say that having...
That's not it. Russia doesn't want a ceasefire. Sam Cedar made the same mistake. They don't have protesters because they want a ceasefire. They do it because they just want noise. Some Pelosi protesters aren't getting a ceasefire. What? Like, this argument has been the same in perpetuity. Russia takes advantage of American political instability all the time. Of course, they are a foreign adversary declared as a foreign adversary. It does not matter. You cannot get out of this situation by being like, well, that's Russia. That's a Russian agent speaking. Okay? It is such a ridiculous, such a idiotic assessment by Nancy Pelosi for the reasons that I just mentioned. It doesn't matter if Russia is like prodding protesters to push for a ceasefire or whatever the fuck Nancy Pelosi thinks. Okay? There are still a shit ton of people demonstrably, according to polling at least, especially in younger demographics, that genuinely think that America's help and facilitation of the genocide, the ethnic cleansing in Gaza is gross and should stop. If you think about it from a broader framework, when you look at what what would happen if there was a ceasefire in Gaza, well, then you also realize that it's doubly stupid. Okay? It doesn't matter. It would be in Russia's interest for America to continue fighting amongst itself, certainly, as they are a foreign adversary, sure. But it's also absolutely not in Russia's interest for America to shift its attention away from Israel back to Ukraine. So if that's the case, then why the fuck is it Putin's message overall? Yeah, Putin has said, you know, there should be a ceasefire or that, you know, Israel should stop doing what it's doing to Gaza, that Palestinians are in the right. Who gives a fuck what he's saying? He's right. Bro, check yourself. You sound like Vladimir Putin right now. I know. It's just, I guess I am. The notion that like American protesters, the notion that American protesters protesting against Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza is just a Russian op to a certain degree is really stupid, in my opinion. So yeah, she's probably correct to some degree, and you're correct. Many do want a ceasefire, myself included, but this is what they do. They started opposing protests in 2017 in St. Louis. What? Dude, this is 3 girls, 1 pudge. This is literally Russiagate shit. Okay? Like marginal spending on like Facebook ads or to like create a Facebook group both in favor and against like police brutality is not the major problem here. Okay? The major problem is the police brutality itself. It doesn't matter. She's talking to 30-year-old, 80-year-old libs. No, apparently she's talking to 3 girls, 1 pudge. It's his message because people talk about it. They talk about Pelosi protesters, warmongers, doesn't make, as long as they're not talking about Ukraine.
Looked at this for a long time now, as you know.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I don't think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated. And I want to ask the...
Yeah, the second part also is also really gross. We should investigate the public outcry against Israel's actions in Gaza is also gross. It's beneficial to Russia for the U.S. to keep funding Israel's violence. The U.S. is losing face on a global scale, and it's quite possible this will have economic repercussions. Yes.
The FBI to investigate that. But apart from that, let's just say it's all spontaneous and sincere. Let's say it's all spontaneous and sincere. Young people care about the right to choose. They care about LGBTQ issues. They care about preserving the planet. They care about gun violence prevention. That's what they tell us. They care about our democracy and the freedoms that are...
Which is why young people care about their democracy and our freedoms, which is why I'm suggesting the FBI investigate protesters that are currently democratically protesting against the American government's actions as it pertains to full-blown facilitation of genocide in Gaza. These are the things that young people care about. I'm here to tell you exactly the opposite. I'm here to tell you that I do not care about those things. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi.
Contained in some of what I said. So they're going to have to make a decision, staying home to enable or to agonize, organize. Yeah. Not agonize, but organize.
That's sick. Yeah. Young people care about these things. We are not going to do any of those things for young people. We should also investigate them. Think about all the good things we did about gun violence. Yeah, she's literally saying like, well, it doesn't matter if you care about genocide or not, because you're still going to have to vote for us because we're telling you that we will at least not be like full tilt anti-abortion in the same way that Republicans are. It's great.
And get out there and get the job. I have every confidence that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be President and Vice President of the United States.
Here's Nancy Pelosi also, funnily enough, having another, this is an older moment, I guess, but here's what Nancy Pelosi said apparently in October, someone was saying. Pelosi to protesters outside of her house, go back to China where your headquarters is.
Most of your constituents block beside you. Stop the genocide. Stop the Holocaust.
Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the ceasefire.
She said, "Go back to China."
The Democrats want the system.
That's fucking sick. It's so funny because accusing your political opponents of being Chi-Com agents is Alex Jones's thing, is what I said, which is true. I saw someone being like, "This is a stop Asian hate." That's my former teacher, a Jewish woman who she told to go back to China. Oh, that's awesome. How do you respond to having the same car as Nancy Pelosi? Wait, what? Porsche haver? What do you mean? You think that's a Porsche? The car that she's getting into? You think that's a Porsche? Look in the garage. Oh, I don't think that's a Taycan. That's Paul Pelosi's car. No. Paul has a Panamera, I think. Yeah. In the garage. That's Nancy's husband. Do you know why I know that? Because he got arrested for drunk driving, if you remember. Yeah. I don't think it's a Taycan. I think it's a Panamera. Yeah. Or was it a Taycan? It might have been a Taycan, but like a shittier version of my car, I think, if it is a Taycan. Because I remember making jokes about it. But I don't think it's a Taycan. It doesn't look like a Taycan. It looks like it might be a Panamera. Wait, is it even a Panamera? Wait, what is that? No, it's a 911 maybe? Or a Carrera? I don't know. I can't tell. If you're arrested for drunk driving, you're banned from Canada for life. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. That's a Ferrari? I don't think that's... I can't tell what it is. Bro got hammered twice? Yes. The one person who got hammered harder than you for having a Porsche is Paul Pelosi. Yeah. It's true.
And asked him about being his VP. I asked if it were true. Take a look. If he asked you that today, what would your response be?
I would not take that job. I'm flattered that President Trump would offer it to me, but it's not something that I'm interested in.
Did he reach out? Or his team?
People from the team have reached out to me.
I know 911s look kind of shit, but you should have gotten one just for the memes. First of all, I don't think the Porsche 911s look shitty. I think they look awesome. They're an incredible car. I would have gotten one if I could fit in one. The problem with the 911 is that I don't fit into it. Not that it's oh, here's a DUI Porsche. DUI Porsche House Speaker's Paul Pelosi DUI. Porsche House Speaker's husband wrecked in California crash up for auction. There it is. The 2021 Porsche Carrera up for auction. MKBHD got a 911 and he's 6'3", bro. You have no excuse. He's like a lot skinnier than me. I've sat inside of a 911. I couldn't fit into it. Yeah, it was my own personal 911. All right, let's get back to the border deal in Brandon.
All this as House Republicans unveil articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Republicans allege that Mayorkas displayed a refusal to comply with the law and accuse him of making false statements and knowingly obstructing lawful oversight of the Department of Homeland Security. DHS blasting the move, calling it an unconstitutional, evidence-free impeachment.
And whether that immigration deal moves forward is an open question since President Trump is opposing it. He has said it would be, quote, a gift for President Biden in an election year. But other Republicans are saying that this is the best deal that the party is going to get. Hoda.
All right, Guad Venegas for us there in Texas. Guad, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday.
Ay, ay, ay.
America.
I don't care about that. Did you know that the Biden administration is giving free green cards to all immigrants?